Well, good morning, and it is welcome to May. We're in May. It's May Day. So, hope nobody plays any April Fools on you today. Just be careful. Wait, that was last month, right? Okay, I'm getting up to speed now. Okay. The title of my talk is The Infinite Self-Knowingness of God. And the May theme for all the talks is the global heart vision, spiritual guidance, and personal responsibility. We believe that life is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. All life and all form was and is created by the self-knowingness of God, God knowing itself by means of you and me. So if we believe everything is the infinite, then when you meet another person, you are meeting God. Not all that God is, but a cell in the body of God. This is the foundational teaching of the science of mind. It explains how God created the universe and how, by your own divinity, we create our experience of life. It explains how thoughts become things. And this is the inspiration behind the divine creative process as presented in our foundational class. Now, everybody knows what the divine creative process is, correct? Okay, let's go on. Well, it's really simple, but sometimes not easy to understand. So we've created this graph for you. It's right here in lights. And it is our teaching symbol. That is the creative process of life. So to make this really easy for you, imagine, if you will, that it's upside down. It's inverted. So that it goes like this. So let's say that we had a seed and you put it in the ground. Boom. It's in the bottom. And then it goes through the middle, which is the soil, and then it becomes a plant. And it's something in this universe. So the way this works is the circle is everything that is. There is nothing outside the circle for this at least demonstration. Of course there is things outside the circle when we look at it, but if we imagine that this is God, and then we draw two lines, and that makes three sections. Now, what are the three sections? The mind, body, spirit, Father, Son, Holy Spirit in the Christian Trinity. And this is the Father idea is the top. When we have ideas that come to us, we have the idea to plant a seed, and we have a seed. And we plant it into the middle, which is the soul, the soil. It is the spirit of wholeness. It is the action of spirit, is the law. This is how it happens. Now, we don't know how. Do you know how a seed happens? It germinates, but what happens? What exactly happens? Science is still trying to figure out. But there's an activation upon the seed from the soil if we've watered it, we have it in the right type of soil, there's no rocks or branches to prevent it from growing, it has air, sunlight. It's a science. It's a science, right? So when we plant it into the middle part, into the soil, it becomes a plant. It puts up leaves and puts down roots. That's how a plant grows. We don't know how, but we don't have to know how. We just have to know that it does it. But if we want something, we have to plant a seed. If you don't plant a seed, what do you get? dirt. You get the soil. So back to my talk. Spirit makes things out of itself. Where do your ideas come from? Out of the blue? Where is the blue? I always wondered, it just came out of the blue. Well, where is the blue? I want to know where the blue is so I can access that a little bit more, because I'd like more things to come out of the blue for me. So, Spirit makes things out of itself through some inner act upon itself. This inner act must, of course, be an act of consciousness, of self-perception, of self-knowingness. What God is. This has been called the Word of God and the self-contemplation of God. So, we have this thing, this power, this idea that when we speak, our words have power. And our thoughts, when we just think things, have power. Thoughts are actual things, but they're not things until they come into this world of form. And how do we do that? Well, the first step is writing something down, right? If I write something down, it's no longer just a thought in my head. It's actually a word on a piece of paper. This is something I can hold in my hand and say, wow, look at that. New car. Doesn't look like a new car to me, but the words new car or whatever you're looking to manifest may be on there. This is the self-knowingness of the infinite. It starts with the Word. We have to have an idea and put it into form by speaking the Word. If we don't speak the Word or imagine it, it's just another thought that flitters by. But once we write it down, we anchor it into this world of form. Now, if we just read it constantly, it's just words on paper. We have to plant it into our consciousness. So we've come up with this thing called prayer treatment. Prayer treatment is a 5-step prayer that is a scientific way to pray, to speak the word. Now, there's a lot of different ways to pray, and I would say that there's no wrong way to pray as long as it doesn't hurt you or someone else. But I know that when I used to pray before I knew about this scientific prayer treatment method, I would say, please, God, if you would only do this for me, I will go to church every Sunday from now on, and I just hope that you can do this for me because things have got to change. And that would be my prayer. Now, that is a prayer. It's more of a asking to barter. If you do this, I'll do that. Because I need you to do this for me, so I'll do this for you. And then, of course, 2 weeks in, after my prayer was answered, it's like, well, I'm not going back to church. My prayer was answered, so what church? Oh, what was that? Well, the 5-step prayer of prayer treatment goes like this. There is a power. You get to decide what that power is. I'm not going to decide it for you. I'm not going to name it for you. For the ease of us knowing what we're talking about, there are different names that work for us, like Spirit, or Source, or God, or Christ consciousness, so that we all kind of can talk at the same level of what it is. But you get to decide what the name is for you. You can call it doorknob, you can call it chair, or whatever. It doesn't matter, as long as we're talking about the same power. Now, this power is the power that guides the stars, causes the sun to shine, grows the grass, breathes our body, heals our body, beats our heart. Are you beating your heart? Do you hold on, I got to beat my heart for a second. Okay. I'm thinking about something, I want to beat it a little faster. We don't do that. If we had to think about, hold on, I got to digest some food right now. or I got to take a breath. Hold on. Can you hold for a second? We don't do any of that. But it's happening all the time for each one of us, all at the same time. That is the self-knowingness of God. God knows what the heck it's doing, doesn't it? If not, this world of form would not be what it is. But if we want the divine infinite to be in our lives, we have to ask it in. We have to speak the word. And prayer treatment is one way of doing that. So the first step in prayer treatment is understanding that there is a power. We recognize that there's a power that does everything. Step 2, each one of us is a divine emanation of that power. Each one of us is a part of that infinite power. It could be no other way. There's not God and you. There's God as you and everybody else. You are a unique, creative individual like everyone else. So, that's step 2. God is, I am. Step 3. What are you choosing to be, do, or have? What is your prayer? And if we can word it in a way that affirms it as an already demonstrated idea, not an asking for, I hope someday this will happen, because what does that say to our consciousness? Someday, and then tomorrow it says someday, and then tomorrow it says someday. You keep pushing it out because you don't say, right now. I know that right now I am a divine emanation of the awesome power of the wisdom that created this universe, as everyone else is. And I choose fill in the blank. And when you feel, so your feeling nature is what's most important here. You feel that it's already happening. Something wonderful happens in the universe. And I'm not sure exactly how, just like when you put it in the ground. I don't know how that happens. But something happens. Something is activated on that self-knowingness that you are using a power that creates. Now, some people say, well, I've done that and nothing happened. It felt like nothing moved or nothing happened. And I would say you are demonstrating the law perfectly with your disbelief. There's somewhere something that isn't quite up to speed on belief. And this isn't to like point something out in your consciousness. This is just to identify that we need to get clear on our belief system. Once we truly believe something, what is beyond belief? This is beyond belief. It's knowing. When you got up this morning, did you just believe the floor was going to be there? Or did you know it? You knew it, or you wouldn't even gotten out of bed. You'd look over the edge. I don't know. Is this going to be there? Let me touch it. Oh, it's there. No, we know it. We believe it. It's not just our, second sense. It's what we live by. And we have to have that same knowing about what we choose to be, do, and have. Whatever is going on in your life. If you can see it, whatever the challenge is, as already worked out. What does it look like already worked out? If everything was the way that you choose it to be, how would it look? And you go there in consciousness. That is the self-knowingness of God. It's when we stay in the challenge and go, yeah, but what if this happens? And what if, but you don't understand, you don't know my story, and you don't know what's happened to me. Oh, the trouble I've seen. And you start telling the story again about why you can't, or arguing for your limitations. The universe always says, yes, let me show you how this can't happen for you. So it's a very subtle twist on that third step of realizing that you are what you seek to be. Ernst Holmes said, what you're looking for, you're looking with. So if someone is, let's say they're looking for a relationship, and I did this for years. I would go into a bar, and I would be desperate for a relationship. So desperate that when I walked in, people would move away from me because they're like, oh, there's that desperate guy. You can smell, like a dog can smell fear. They're like, oh, you know, I'd go up to somebody and they're like, oh, ick, no. I didn't even say anything. You know, I was going to buy you a drink. But because what I was emanating so much power, repelling the energy, and ladies, I think you know what I'm talking about, you can feel it. Now, that's coming from desperation. I was desperate. And then I changed my tune and I realized some of this teaching, and I started to come from inspiration, that I am perfectly whole and complete within myself. I don't need anything or anyone else from the outside to fill me up. I am perfect, whole, and complete as I am. And from that love of myself, I overflow love. And that overflow love is an attraction mechanism. People want to be around you when you are giving love all the time. It's a different energy. It's a total different energy shift. That if we are desperate for something, just like a snake can smell if you're afraid, right? But when we go in with not being afraid of something, we don't get bit. It's a subtle energy shift, but this is how it works. This is why when I say I want money, you get the want of money. And more bills come in. You're like, but I treated for money. Yes, and the infinite will show you how much you want money by sending you more bills. It's a subtle energy shift. See, did you hear? Did you see? Once we shift, everything changes. But we have to change our perception. We have to change our latitude, our attitude towards things. So that is the third step, is knowing that what you choose to be, do, and have is already complete. You stop telling your story about why you can't have it, why it isn't going to work. Oh, you know, it always happens to me. They always do it to me. Let me tell you about it. I was telling it about everybody that would come into my life about what happened to me, and isn't it awful? People were just, you know, the mailman wouldn't deliver my mail anymore. He'd be like, I don't want to hear your story anymore. I'm going to wait till you're not home to deliver your mail because I know you're waiting for me because you don't have anybody else to talk to. And I realized that I was telling the wrong story. And it was a challenge for me when I woke up to this because I felt so terrible about what I had been thinking. You know, I mean, ignorance is only bliss while you're ignorant. Once you know, you can't not know. So that brings us to number 4, step 4 in the 5-step treatment. God is, I am, I choose to be, do, and have, and feeling nature of already being, doing, and having it, because a good practitioner treats from their demonstration, not to it. You treat from the consciousness of having, not of wanting. It's not out there. There's no out there. It's all in here. Which brings us to the 4th step, very important step. And Jesus in his prayer treatments would start with this step, which is thanksgiving. Jesus would say, thank you, Father, for giving me the things I choose to be, do, and have, or this healing. Because that was his form of prayer treatment. He would know it before it was even spoken, that it was already done. So 4 is thanks. I am so grateful that this infinite power has been activated by my word and works on my behalf for me and for each one of us. Be grateful in advance. You may not see it in your life. How can I be thankful if I don't see it in my life? Well, will you believe it when you see it, or will you see it when you believe it? It's a different shift. Do you believe first and then you see it? Or do you have to show me the money first? Show me the money and then I'll believe. I'll believe it when I see it. You got to turn it around. Believe it first and watch what happens. It's very powerful. But you can't keep telling the same story. You can't drive around wanting a relationship with a happiness is being single bumper sticker on your car. I did that for years. I'm like, why are people not, why am I not getting date? And I'm like, happiness is being single. I'm saying one thing to the universe, but I'm saying something else in my life. So it was a different, subtle energy shift. And once I shifted, everything changed. Brings us to step 5. Release. You must let go. You cannot have a healing or revealing with the same consciousness that you created the challenge with. You must let go. If you have a toy, you say, here's my toy, and I want it fixed. And you go to the toy manufacturer and you say, I want this fixed. And you hold it. Can you fix this? Well, you got to let go of it so we can fix it. No, I'm going to hold it while you fix it. When you take your car in, do you sit in the car and watch them fix it? No, it's better if you go into the waiting room. Right. But you have to give it over. If you don't give it over, you get to keep it. You went through all those steps in treatment, and then you're still holding on to it. And the infinite cannot reveal its greatness with you hanging on to it. I had a friend that said that everything they had released had claw and teeth marks in it because they didn't want to let go. But there comes a time when the pain of hanging on is more than the pain of letting go. We have to let go at some point. And when we do, it opens up doors we did not know existed. When you try to push the things in your life, you push them out of your life. It's when you lay low like the ocean and you allow all the rivers of the world to come to you, because everything is flowing to you. But if you try to push and go upstream, you're fighting the energy of life. And I fought it for a long time. I paddled upstream for a long time because they teach you, you've got to work for what you want. Go out and get yourself a job. Go and do. But you need to do right here and be calm. Be still and know that you are the infinite and watch what comes to you. So, God is. We are. I am. I choose. I thank and I release. Let go. So, back to my talk. One of the most important things to do in the steps is to feel. I just want to synthesize that it's not about the words that you convey. Words are there as sensory details to get you to feel. To feel. What are rich and juicy words for you that activate your feeling nature? Put them into your prayer as an already demonstrated idea of what you choose to be, do, and have, and watch what happens. The Word became flesh. John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Word is the speaking into form the things that we choose to be, do, and have. So watch what you say. Be very careful. I used to really, I'd make a silly mistake, and I would be so upset with myself or upset with somebody else who made a silly mistake. Oh, what are they cutting me off for? Oh, those people. Oh, I spilled the milk. Oh, I'm so stupid. If I believe that God is everything, and I'm calling myself those names, I'm calling God those names. And if I'm calling other people those names, I'm still calling God those names. So I had to change what I'd say. I'd say, oh, you are such a genius. You are so creative. Nobody could spill the milk like you did. I'm going to take a picture of that. That is a good spill. And when we start to honor our silly mistakes, the infinite says, yes, let me show you how creative you can be. And out of the dog do, music will come. Believe me, it's interesting what happens. Okay. Humans had inferred this ability to use the word in our lives. Our word is our acceptance of life through our thoughts, ideas, and beliefs into action. Our use of the word is what happens when we say that thoughts becomes things. Thoughts do become things. So we have to watch our thoughts. You know, I used to my natural default used to be to the negative. You know, how bad can it get? How bad can it get? And boy, the infinite would show me just how bad it could get. So now I say, how good can it get? What's better than the best? This is a challenge, but it's going to be really neat how God works this out, because I ain't got a clue. And I don't have to have a clue. I just have to know that the infinite is working on it on my behalf and let it go. The more I get in there and toy with it and make that call and try to make it happen, the further away it gets, because I'm pointing at the challenge. When you point at the challenge, where's your energy? On challenge. Now, this isn't to say that we shouldn't work on our challenges, but let's work on the solution to our challenge and not the challenge. Let's say, how can this be the best? Maybe this, you know, when something is in resistance, maybe that's not the way you should be going. You know, you call somebody, you're going to make something happen, and they don't call you back. That means there's somebody else you've been calling. You know? But we take it as, no, I'm going to try even harder. I'm going to push. I used to say to my dad, I'm pushing so hard. He goes, yeah, but the door opens inward, son. You're pushing against the door that opens inward. You're never going to get through there. So once I figured that out, and I backed off the door, and I got still, doors that I didn't even know could opened in my life. All of a sudden, connections that I never thought could be made were made. All of a sudden, I became attractive in my energy because I was attractable. I wasn't repelling. I changed my polarity. Change your polarity. So, in conclusion, we are using our word constantly as we create our experience of life, whether our experience is positive and healthy or negative and unwelcoming. It's up to us. Each of us can use our self-knowingness to understand our divinity and build new ways of thinking and enhance our lives and up-level the world. See, when we up-level ourselves, everything touches everything. When we up-level, we get up-leveled. If you're a musician and you play in a band with other people that are better than you, you get better. You can't help but get better because you play at a different level. If you surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, you're not going to make them dumb. You're going to get smarter. That's the way the law works. So surround yourself with what you choose to be, do, and have. Watch your story and speak the word of what you choose, not of your challenge. And this isn't to deny anybody that's going through a big challenge. Don't get me wrong. We don't deny that we're having a challenge. Sometimes maybe you want to go and meet with somebody and talk about the challenge to get it out of your system. Therapy is a wonderful thing when used in the right way. And spiritual mind treatment can change your life. And so it is. Amen. Thank you. Thank you.